Well, it looks like I'm going to get into the muck and mire right now. It's 3:17 in the morning West Coast time, the 9th of October 2024, and Joe Scarborough on MSNBC is having a conniption fit with his cast of characters on there regarding the election cycle spinning out of control. Opinion pages are trying to affect people left and right who are in dire need of emergencies. You know, they need necessities. We had a hurricane about a week or two ago hitting the hell out of several states in the union, and they're desperate for more aid, and their government's still trying to, and volunteers are still trying to work on it. But then you got a politician, a slimy politician, an orange gas bag who used to be a president, but now he's just in for itself, and people of his ilk support his ass. They're believing his lies that people are not helping the states that are affected. Only he can save them. So now we got this stuff going back and forth. Now a respected newspaper, a theoretical respected newspaper, has an opinion page coming from a Trumplican saying that the government's not helping anybody. And people are putting that on social media left and right saying that the government's not helping anybody. And yet the governors, who are also conservative, are saying that they're all lying because the government has been stepping in with FEMA, has been trying to help out with people. This had to happen in an election year that we actually had to have global warming kicking our ass even royally. I mean, two major hurricanes and within a couple of weeks. One forms out of thin air in the hot Gulf water. Might as well get yourself scalded in there by looking at temperatures that they were showing. I wouldn't even put myself in that water. And yet, it's strong enough to generate a hurricane out of a tropical storm real fast, about an hour or two. And now it's going out to destroy Florida. We have mayors, we have officials out there, except for the governor of Florida, trying to tell people we need to help. We need to get these people evacuated. Milton's coming down our ass. Helene already kicked a lot of our asses at the Panhandle already, and now through several states. And those several states are getting visited by Trump saying, "You're not getting help. I'm the only one's gonna help you out. You gotta vote for me. Because they're doing all these things over here. Don't you understand? I'm Donald Trump and I approve these messages. Don't you understand? You gotta join with me because I'm the only one. I'm only your friend." Oh, he's not. Not once have I ever seen the gas bag when he got out of office ever go for civic duty. He doesn't give a shit about people. He only cares about himself at this point. Kind of pisses me off. So now people are trying to make last minute preparations either to get the hell out of Dodge, and they're probably going to be dragging their ass on that one, or hunkering up for a hurricane about 4 or 5 on a cat scale category. Now you're hearing me say about categories of hurricanes, right? Just not often enough. Out here in California, we don't get them. But this is hurricane season out in the East Coast. Actually, in the Caribbean area and the East Coast, actually. Okay. Let's get categories hurricanes. Okay. I'm trying to get into. Let's see, National Hurricane Center. I like that one. I can also go into NOAA. All right. Well, we're going to nationalhurricanecenter.org. They've got a guide out there. I should be getting this thing posted on my descriptions there. I really need to get some of the descriptions posted. I'm failing at that one. but this I need because I need to explain something. But I'm just saving something under PDF file, so I have something for research. Okay, I'm reading this off of the. If I can through my damn dirty glasses anyway. Let's increase the screen size. There we go. That works. Destiny 125. Okay, here we go. From what they indicate, hurricanes are notorious for the devastation and destruction they wreak. They wreak. I prefer wreck myself. And more than the simple storms or tropical depressions, they are known for intense winds and flooding that wreak havoc across the coast. Come hurricane season, news seems to erupt with tales of the latest hurricane brewing in the open sea. What category it currently is and what it will be when it makes landfall. But how exactly are hurricanes categorized? Well, they use something called the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale. From two scientists actually based this thing, or created this thing. I don't. What they were doing was basing the storms on wind speed and magnitude of harm, such as flooding or structural damage. So there's the scale of 1 through 5. Now, Category 4, actually, Category 1 starts off when you have a tropical storm. Maybe you got about 50, 60, almost 70 miles per hour. We get winds out here in the desert. Sometimes we'll get about 30 to 40 and 50. If we actually had rain, they'd be blowing pretty damn good, but not destructive enough. Without landscape, without topography to slow down a storm's progress, without it enough, you're going to get a hell of a lot of whoosh going on. We have a mountain range out here in California, and boys and girls, it's time to open up your tabs on your devices. Let's take you to the maps. Let's take you to the maps. I want to explain a little geography, actually topography and other stuff. So it's going to open up into your default, right? Get a widespread look on the United States. I mean, just open that thing up and look at the United States. Okay. But put the continent and the state in the middle. On the far right, hell, what are you doing now, computer? I don't want the damn streets. I never wanted the streets. Get it off. Thank you. It's an interesting tool, but it drives me crazy sometimes. So you have this wide swath of a landscape here, right? Connected to one large portion down to a smaller portion and then a larger portion down on the globe. So if I actually want to look at it that way, I mean, I could just see this whole nice huge landscape on a globe. But for me, I'm looking at my own territory, and then I'm going to compare it to Florida, okay? California. Rocky Mountains extending all the way from Seattle all the way down. It's a huge mountain range. And we also had Sierra Nevadas. Wow. We got geology at work. But I also noticed in the valleys that we have out here in the West Coast, not to mention where I live, which is Los Angeles area. Actually, it's in the Antelope Valley. It's in a wedge-shaped area here. But you look at the landscape, what we got over here. I mean, winds go whooshing right through with enough force. And yes, they could do a hell of a lot of damage. But compare something here to the East Coast. So I'm going to show you West Coast first, okay? Get a wider screen. You see the United States. I'm turning it into the waters to the Pacific. Then I'm going to tilt it where the North America is going down at an angle. But I can see Alaska. Show you something. The ocean currents that we get are, well, if I can try understanding this to the people in meteorology. And I probably get it screwed up anyways. But the ocean currents that we have are cyclic. They're cyclic. I mean, they're pushing water, they're pushing temperatures, trying to keep a planet in a homeostasis of its own self. We have an equator in the middle of the planet, and we also have more storm systems, and we have more ocean water currents that are affecting us a great deal, either relieving us or increasing the temperature. And because we increase the gases in this planet a great deal, we've already got the Earth warming up a great more. It doesn't help when we also have geologic activity. For our area, this will compute, this will compute, this will compute. All right, enough of that one. We get an ocean current from the Alaskan area, from the North area. And the currents travel from the cyclic engine, as I said before. It goes through the middle of the planet, and the equator, goes up north past Japan, past Russia, to the Alaskan area, heads down the coastline, heads all the way to South America, stops in that area, and peters out. And somewhere in the mid range, mid Pacific range, and mid latitude range, we get our heavy duty storm systems building up. And sometimes they do have a tendency of popping up in one direction or another direction. For us, it'd be popping up going into the Pacific Ocean range, giving the islands enough of a storm system. But we do get the storm systems popping up over here, especially when the wind currents are blowing, especially when we had the pressure gradients, the high and lows maneuvering. Usually the lows will be sucking up the cold air and maneuvering storms to our direction, and sometimes the highs will do that. But highs are generally pushing this stuff away from us, unless it's going to be pulling up moisture from down below and giving us a bit of instability, because we have cold air still coming down when we actually do have the jet stream working in that favor and fashion. All I got to do is just look at the storm pattern of the clouds, seeing whether or not we're actually going to get some fun or not. We get the cold air from the Alaskan waters, shoved it down to the west area. We don't have heated areas in our territory. We don't get the hurricane force winds. Unless, of course, the area has been, we have pressure gradients maneuvering storms and moisture through our own area. And if there's enough heated energy in the water to sustain a storm system of that nature. That's an image right there. I want to save that image. That's an image I want to save. The problem is, last year or year before, we actually had a hurricane. Or they call it a typhoon, but we still call it a hurricane. And it was a massive one coming down from the north, from the south. And people are having a conniption fit over it last year. And they were screaming, we're going to have a hurricane. It's going to be like everything, Florida, we're going to be. And I'm looking at the topography. I'm looking at the storm strength. I'm looking at the ocean currents. I'm trying to measure out the temperature range. There's a certain level of range that if it's a high enough level, it will give a storm enough energy to do damage, to increase wind speed and increase rain. But if the ranges of the temperatures in the ocean were low enough, the only thing they could do is just blow past us, give us some rain. We'll have mudslides left and right. We'll have flooded out roads a bit, but that's about it. Not the kind of crap that a hurricane would do to the East Coast. Shall we go to the East Coast? Okay, let's go to the East Coast. Let's pick on the East Coast. So right now, they're not showing on the Google Maps of what's going on these days. They're not. They're not doing that. Why? Oh, let's see. Well, how did I get that? I didn't get that. Okay. The ocean currents are the only thing, or one of the processes that our planet has in trying to maintain temperature levels. But if the temperature keeps increasing and hasn't got a way to alleviate itself, it will cook. We've been cooking our waters a great deal. If you looked at over the maps that sometimes the um, National Weather Service will have, um, any kind of weather agencies that we have, and other private companies, they measure the water's temperatures. If there are vast increasing amount of temperature being, then we're cooking life forms. We are cooking coral sea. I mean, we're cooking the coral, which is basically oxygen levels. Looking at a map that I have on Google, doesn't show the hurricane coming through, but it does show me a map of something going on here. Okay, I'm looking at closer up of Mexico and the Mexican water. Heat goes through this area and it traps itself. There's not enough of a current going in and out to get that heat alleviated. I mean, if it was relieved, I mean, if it was moved out, they wouldn't be having as much problems. But it's gotten hotter and hotter in the Gulf waters, even in the Caribbean area. They're wondering how come we have global warming happening, and if it's legitimate or not. We have it legitimate. When you have a storm system off the Yucatan, in the waters bordering Yucatan Peninsula, and in that little bay area, a tropical storm system formed in that area. It was sucking up a lot of moisture, but it was also sucking up a lot of heat energy that was trapped in that water. From a tropical depression, within an hour or two, we got a Cat 1. Getting back to the categories now. Now, what they call the Cat 1, weakest of it, it still does flooding and damage. I mean, the wind speeds we're talking about 74 to 95 miles per hour. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good for a Cat 1 because it goes above tropical storm. And I want to show you the difference between, let's continue the category, okay? Category 2, we're talking about 96 to 110 miles per hour. Worse, because it does damage. It does shatter windows, lift debris, and screws up homes left and right. The wind speeds can do some nasty damages. Category 3, wind speeds are from 111 to 129 miles per hour. But it also wreaks flooding as well, especially when you have that much force pushing against water and it goes right onto land and then flood city left and right. Category 4, the wind speeds are even worse, 130 to 156 miles per hour. And the worst, that they hadn't seen anything exceeding 157 miles per hour. If they actually have anything else beyond that, we're talking about a Category 6, unbelievable, not listed, and catastrophic galore. Pushing a hell of a lot more water, doing a lot more flooding in a lot of places left and right. Said before, we don't have that issue out here in the West Coast, but the East Coast does. Because of the heat trapped in that area, if it's not circulated out enough, it is going to be generating a hell of a lot of hurricanes, but it's generally not formed in the waters off of Mexico. No, because I'm going to show you back on Google Maps here. Widen out the shot until you see North America in all its beauty. Now, maneuver the globe till you see the coastline of Africa. I want to show you the latitudes here on this one. Now, if you are able to see a picture, of what this looks like, you see the bulbous nature of Africa, and then it kind of curves down a bit. Off the coast of Africa, in that area, we have the circulation above and we have the circulation below, and you've got enough heat energy, an unstable atmosphere in the mid-latitude ranges, say hello to your storm systems moving this way because of the wind patterns we have. And they will move. They will form in the middle of the ocean from a tropical depression to a tropical storm to a cat 1 and beyond. Feed it enough heat and energy, it'll blow itself up. So this is what happens throughout the years, throughout whatever recorded history we got, and worse than that. The hurricanes come through, usually between, I think, August through November, what they said. And in that time period when the seasons change and you got the energy flowing out from Africa to America, to the North American continent, to Central America and South America. But it'll do some damage out there. But it won't do damage on South America because they're already dealing with their own unstable air quality out there. But ours, we're just dealing with the northern hemisphere. So Helene came from the Caribbean. It went through the Caribbean islands, hit up, and knocked the hell out of us. But this monster we're dealing with, right now, this is going to us. And it's going to kick the crap out of us. If you're in Florida, you're not having a good day. That's for damn sure. So now we're dealing with this monster. Milton is the monster. And so far, it's still a Cat 4, but it'll increase more to a Cat 5, with all their computer models telling us that most of Florida is going to have a bad hair day. And if they're not careful enough, we're going to have a lot of loss of land, loss of animal, and loss of human life if they actually moved off the damn state. Back to my Google Maps. I look at the Florida. Florida is flat. It may have a bit of hills left and right for a slight elevation. It's flat. Flat, swampy. Long time ago it was flat and swampy. But now it's heavily populated, and we have population centers all up and down the damn coastline, and not to mention throughout the state. And there are areas that you have life forms in there, snakes, gators, and whatever the kind of creatures you got over there. They're really going to have fun with the Floridas, especially when the flooding water kicks in. So this bastard's coming to the west side, going to push itself through according to the computer models and head up to the east side, and then maybe fly out into the waters, cool off a bit, and disintegrate and dissipate. If the waters are cool enough heading up towards the northern region, they're not going to have any issues. Unless, of course, she's going to be turning back because of any kind of steering conditions. Another pressure gradient may be pushing it, or maybe a jet stream or prevailing winds. But either way, watching that thing for the past week, forming as a tropical depression right off of Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula, and then making its creeping, menacing way. We're talking about nature's perfect Halloween weapon to scare the hell out of them. I'm not laughing on this damn thing. Get back to the story I actually told about California. The waters that we have off the coastline, if they had heated up, we would have been in trouble. But the water's coming from north down to south. If the waters were heated up north, we really have an environmental issue, boys and girls. People want to say that climate change is natural, or climate change isn't happening, or just deny the damn shit. I'm sorry, when I see a storm coming from a tropical depression, and then about a couple hours later it becomes a Cat 1, and then Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4, all within a 24-hour period or less time than that, and does a slow, menacing creep and crawl because of the winds. Mm-mm. I laughed last year because when the storm hit us out here, people were saying, "We got the hurricane coming up. It's going to be a Cat 1." And I'm looking at the wind speeds and I'm looking at the temperature gradient and I'm looking at the landscapes like, no, we're not. We're just going to be getting another storm system coming in. It's going to rain down on us, maybe sporadically, but then it's going to dissipate. It's no problem because of our geography, and not to mention the energy. Once a hurricane gets out of the water and gets on the land, it loses energy and strength. The water energy, the heat in it, is the driving engine and the life force of the heavy duty storms. Without that, nothing. But Georgia, Alabama, Carolinas, Tennessee, parts of Florida, they've all been nailed. They've all been flooded. They've got damage all over the place. You get into politics, we have a politician saying that it was caused by space lasers, it's caused by something, it was caused by they or them. Scare tactics that we have a politician trying to do on people left and right. That's so crappy. Prayers and thoughts, and hope they all survive. I got a few people I know in Florida that I actually do want to stay alive and stay surviving and not get flooded out. And Don Terrace, who does his family vacations video on YouTube, talks about cruising all the time. Well, he's stuck out there in a cruise ship. Safe, hopefully. He gets to watch this damn storm creep on Florida and cause more hell and havoc on anybody else. Ain't that nice and wonderful? Not in my book. Not in my book.